to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, we need to have a little family discussion. We need to talk about what the hell is going on with the delayed reaction and delayed response and delayed support of Meg Thee Stallion. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a huge fan of Meg. I think that she is one of the best rappers, not just female rappers. I think Meg gets on a beat and does what Meg is supposed to do. She switches cadences, she switches flows, she gives you complex lyrics, she gives you references to things that she loves in her life, like anime, which is not super common, you know, for Black people for reasons that we'll get to when I discuss Lovecraft Country in another video. I'm a huge fan of Meg. I love her confidence. I love how she owns her sexuality. I love that she don't take no shit, but I also love that she seems to be a genuinely nice, kind, friendly, happy ass bitch. I'm deeply disturbed and bothered and sad and disheartened and discouraged by the lack of support that she received when she revealed that she was shot by Tory Lanez. We all kind of suspected, I think we all kind of knew, but the fact that she had to come out and confirm what we knew because people were doubting her as a victim. And what I want to say to that is, I don't understand why Black women have such a high burden of proof to convince people of our victimhood. We don't do that to anybody but women, and especially Black women. When we see, Black women, when we see Black men murdered by the police on television, on the news, on the internet, we don't ask, what did he do? We don't ask how he provoked. We don't ask, was he resisting? Those are questions that the oppressor asks to justify state-sanctioned violence. I don't understand how the people who are questioning Meg as a victim, who want to poke holes in her story, I don't understand how they don't see that energetically, rhetorically, you're saying the same things that white people say and non-Black people say to diminish the fact that, no, the police are just hunting us for sport. It's the same thing. You put a higher burden of proof on people to convince you of their victimhood because you don't want to believe that they're victims. And I think that because Meg is confident, because Meg is tall, because Meg is thick, because Meg is assertive, because Meg owns her sexuality, people don't see her as also being vulnerable. And that's really not fair, because if I can look at a Black man and see him as strong and beautiful and confident and all of these things, and I can also see that he's vulnerable, that he has vulnerabilities, that he's capable of being hurt just like anyone else, why aren't we extended that same empathy, sympathy, understanding, grace? Why don't we get that? I was really happy to see today that Bun B, and again, I'm from Atlanta, I grew up listening to UGK, I love Bun B, R.I.P. to Pimp C, I love his voice. Like, Pimp C has one of the best Southern voices of anybody. I just, his voice, hold up. Anyway, I was happy that Bun B, especially being from Houston, came out in support of Meg and really hit on a lot of the points of, like, Black women are always on the front lines defending Black men. Meg was shot. We saw video footage of her leaking, much in the way that we've seen video footage of people who have been victims of police brutality. We saw that, but it didn't make the news even in Houston. People really were not coming out in support of her in the way that we see people come out in support of Black men. I was really happy that Bun B didn't hold back. He spoke up. You know, he said, this is where I stand. We need to do better. However, I do want to know, he started off by saying, you know, I wanted to stay out of it. I wanted to remain neutral. I want to know why. I want to know why your inclination wasn't to jump to her defense off rip. What I think it is, and I was having a conversation with one of my homeboys about this on Twitter, where he was saying, you know, I think it's because we have this pervasive fear in our community of being a hater or being a snitch, and that prompts people to kind of stay out of things, to want to remain neutral. Two things. Number one, remaining neutral in a situation like this is the exact same thing as being a coward from my perspective. Remaining neutral is picking a side, and it's picking the side of cowardice. When you remain neutral, when there is a very clear victim, you are on the side of the person who hurt the victim. That if you are too scared to speak out because you don't want to be looked at like a lame nigga, you don't want to be looked at like a hater, just say that. But don't try to take away from the fact that what happened to this woman was wrong, and it speaks to a larger problem. The second thing, I actually think that a huge part of why people, particularly black men, don't speak out in support of black women, especially in domestic disputes, is because I think that when you benefit from the status quo, when you benefit from the degradation and the dehumanization of black women, you don't want to speak out against someone doing something overtly harmful because it's going to take away from your ability to benefit from that. What I mean by that is, if you are a man who lies to women, who manipulates women, who uses women for sex, who is not emotionally responsible in the way he carries himself when he dates women, and I'm speaking in heteronormative terms because I'm not a part of the gay community, so I don't want to speak to anyone's experience but my own. I think that there is a strong correlation between the ability to be able to dehumanize a person enough to emotionally harm them and being able to dehumanize a person enough to physically harm them. It's not very far apart. So I think that some people don't want to say what this person did was wrong. I think that comes from a place of, well, if I call him out, if I hold him accountable, I also have to be held accountable. Yes, the fuck you do. You do need to be held accountable for the way you treat black women. Protect black women does not just mean protect us from being murdered in our sleep by police officers like Breonna Taylor. It doesn't just mean, put this in your Twitter bio. It means hold your friends accountable when they don't take care of their children. It means hold your friends accountable when they are openly disrespecting black women on the street because they're not getting the attention that they want. It means holding yourself accountable about how you navigate dating black women. Are you only using black women for what they can do for you physically, which some black women are okay with that, but are you being honest about that? Are you being emotionally abusive? That matters. Protect black women does not just mean don't pay us lip service. Actually do the work. Meg was not protected. Meg was not supported. It was even to the point where she had to post pictures of her wounds. She had to get on live and admit to something that I think a lot of us are guilty of, which is, I was afraid of you losing your life and you losing your career, so I lied. I remained silent, but now you're pushing it, and now you're trying to push a narrative that makes me look bad, so now I have to call you out. And the fact that people are trying to say that she violated some kind of street code, Meg ain't no street nigga. Like, that don't apply. If you shoot me, I'm telling. Off rip. I'm telling. Point blank period. What are you talking about? It shouldn't even be a conversation or an expectation for people to remain silent when that's not the kind of life that they live, and that's not something that they knowingly entered into. If you out here living that kind of life and that's how you move, and you have this certain expectation that things are gonna happen, then okay, I guess code of silence. But if you ain't about that life, you should not have this expectation to be a silent victim. And what's so confusing about Tory Lanez is she didn't tell. She did remain silent. She did what we have been socialized to do as black women, which is protect black men. And instead of you sitting your ass down and just eating your food, you send your publicists out to put out false narratives. The way that I have seen our community question this woman's victimhood is disgusting. I want us as black women to look at our own internalized misogyny. Some of the shit that you have internalized from the men you know, the men you listen to, the men you hang around, and I say this from personal experience. I took in a lot of very wrong information about relationships between men and women from the men who I was hanging around, and it really affected the way I viewed myself and what I was worthy of. We gotta stop that shit. Like, it's not helping anyone. And then I think what was frustrating me as well about the rap community is like, as a black woman, we have been cool with so much degradation, so much shit that y'all have said about us, about our bodies, about how we're worthless, about how we're just a part of your collection, and you can't trust no bitch, you can't marry no bitch, and fuck these bitches. And I don't know if some of y'all realize when you get to a place where you're so anti-woman, you end up coming off as the thing that you absolutely could never possibly be, which is gay. If you hate women to that extent and women are so untrustworthy, it kind of sounds like maybe you just want to date men. If you prioritize men's lives over women's, especially women who you are dating and who are the mothers of your children, but your homeboys come first, maybe you need to pull at the thread of why your homeboys come first. I feel like women who are supporters of rap music, and I am one of them, I love Southern hip hop. When I listen to some of that shit as a 33-year-old woman, I'm like, what he saying? Do what? You know, we have been cool about so much shit, but we don't get that in return. We don't get that same kind of support. We just don't get the support. It's not equal. And I think what happened to Meg is a microcosm of a really pervasive issue in our community where we continue to be unprotected. Not just from people outside of our community, but within our own communities. Not just from black men, but from black women too. We all have a lot of work to do with the way we view ourselves, the way we view each other. And I think that starts with holding yourself accountable for how you treat yourself and how you treat other people. And then start holding the people around you accountable, because what's happening is you are creating communities of vulnerable women, and people prey on vulnerable women. Those are the women who get sex trafficked. Those are the women who end up homeless. Those are the women who end up jobless. Those are the women who end up in poverty and who end up missing or murdered, or no one knows what happened because they were vulnerable. I have a friend who works in a nonprofit that specializes in sex trafficking, and one of the main things that she said is that, you know, when there was this rise in this conversation about sex trafficking, it's not this fantastical idea that people have where it's taken style. You get snatched off the street or kidnapped from somewhere and shoved in a white van, and then you end up, you know, somewhere. That's actually a pretty rare occurrence. Most sex trafficking victims are young boys and girls who come from vulnerable communities. They come from broken homes where they don't know how to identify healthy relationship dynamics, and it's easy for these older men, older people, to lure them into unsafe situations. When you don't protect black women, when you don't protect LGBTQ youth, when you don't protect the black community as a whole, you create vulnerable black people who end up falling victim to shit not even just outside of our community. So this is a completely separate conversation from police brutality. Two things can be true at once. They don't have no business fucking killing us. I don't care who we are. That's another thing. I don't care if a person is murdered by a police officer. I don't care that they're a college graduate. I don't care if they're a Rhodes Scholar. I don't care if they made 6 figures. You don't have to be an exceptional person to not be murdered on the street. Meg should not have to be this bastion of virtue in order to be worthy of being protected. When you say Black Lives Matter, that has to extend to all Black lives, even the ones that don't look like yours, the people who don't worship how you worship, who don't spend money how you spend money. I keep seeing people on Twitter talking about like doing this like poverty shaming. Bitch, unless you are Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, you're not wealthy. You are in no position to judge what other people have or don't have. And I know I'm going on a tangent here, but I obviously have a lot built up because I'm incredibly frustrated with how people aren't drawing the connections. How you treat Black women matters. It matters, and it plays out in shit like this. Did Meg need to die in order for y'all to see her as a victim? What more do y'all need? Y'all have video footage of blood leaking from her feet, and you want to question whether or not that was legit? One of my favorite podcasters, comedic writers, producers, Larry Wilmore, always says that you can tell somebody is full of shit or trying to feed you a conspiracy when they want you to question the facts, question the logic, question what's right there in front of you, but accept bullshit. That's what that is. You want to question facts so that they can be more reflective of what you believe the world looks like. When Black women are telling you what their experiences are, just because you have not shared that experience, man, woman, or child, or non-binary, just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean that it's not real. I kind of had a Twitter situation a couple of days ago about this on this subject, and ended up on the Shade Room because some rapper thought that it was appropriate to victim blame Meg. And if you have any smoke for anybody other than the shooter, you are full of shit. Point blank, period. I got called broke and I'm an industry plant and all this shit like that. Am I wealthy? Absolutely not. I'm very far from it. Am I rich? Very far from it. I'm gonna tell you what I am though. A person who can fucking read. I can read. I can interpret things, and I can question the nature of my reality. Something you may want to explore. So in summation, please do the actual work of protecting Black women by checking yourself first and how you treat Black women, and checking the people around you. If you are too scared, if you are too much of a coward to hold people accountable, to call people to task, to speak truth to power, if you're afraid that it's going to affect your money or your social standing, or you're afraid that you're going to be viewed as a snitch or a hater, just remain silent. Don't say anything. What you absolutely should not do is victim blame and try to gaslight and diminish other people's experiences just because they differ from your own. So, Meg, if you ever see this, girl, I support you, I ride for you. I hope you're doing well, and you know, we're here for you. I don't know what the hell going on with the rest of these people. So that's it for this video. I'll be back, y'all. I'm fed the fuck up. So drop down in the comments. Keep it cute. I'm not beefing with nobody on the internet. I'm not doing that. I'm too tired, honestly. Let me know what you guys think. I'm open to having discussion. Be sure to share and subscribe, and I'll be back. Bye.